On the vast, golden savannah, where the sun painted the grasslands in shades of honey and amber, lived a magnificent elephant named Elmo. Elmo was big, oh, so very big. His legs were like ancient tree trunks, his ears like giant, leathery fans, and his trunk was strong enough to uproot a small baobab tree. But the biggest thing about Elmo wasn't his size, it was his voice. When Elmo spoke, the ground seemed to rumble, and his trumpet of a call could be heard from one end of the savannah to the other. Elmo had a heart as big as his body. He absolutely loved to help others. Was a baby zebra stuck in the mud, Elmo would be there in a flash, his powerful trunk gently lifting the little one to safety. Had a family of meerkats lost their way, Elmo's booming voice would guide them home, a living, breathing GPS for the lost and bewildered. The animals of the savannah knew that if you were in trouble, Elmo was the one to call. He was strong, he was brave, and he was always willing to lend a hand, or rather, a trunk. But there was a problem so quiet that Elmo, with his booming voice and bustling energy, never even noticed it. When he helped, he was so focused on the doing, the lifting, the guiding, the fixing, that he never really stopped to listen. His voice, meant to reassure, often drowned out the quiet little whispers of fear and worry from those he was helping. One afternoon, a young gazelle named Gigi found her favorite jumping spot blocked by a fallen log. She was sad and a little scared, because it was the spot her mother had shown her. Seeing her distress, Elmo charged over. "Don't you worry, little Gigi," he boomed, his voice sending a flock of nearby birds scattering into the sky. "Elmo is here. I'll move this log for you in a jiffy." And with a mighty heave, he tossed the log aside as if it were a mere twig. "There you go," he trumpeted, proud of his good deed. "All better now." He then turned and stomped off, looking for his next problem to solve, completely missing the single tear that rolled down Gigi's cheek. She wasn't just sad about the log. She was sad for the memory, and all she had wanted was for someone to sit with her for a moment and understand. A few days later, a family of warthogs was frantic. Their youngest, Pipsqueak, had tumbled into a shallow ravine and couldn't climb out. Elmo, hearing the commotion, arrived with his usual fanfare. "Stand back, everyone. I'll have him out in no time," he declared, his voice echoing across the plains. He lowered his trunk and hoisted the little warthog out. Pipsqueak was trembling, not just from the fall, but from the shock of being lifted so high, so fast. His mother tried to say, "Thank you, Elmo, but could you be a little more gentle? He's very frightened." But Elmo was already trumpeting his success. "Another problem solved by the great Elmo," he announced to the world, not hearing her quiet plea at all. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a change began to drift across the savannah. The calls for Elmo's help grew fewer and farther between. The line of animals seeking his assistance dwindled, until one day, there was no line at all. The savannah, which once echoed with his name, fell quiet. Elmo would wander from the watering hole to the acacia groves, his big ears perked, listening for a cry for help, but he heard nothing. The world around him seemed to have muted itself. Confusion turned to loneliness. Elmo felt a heavy sadness settle in his chest, a feeling he wasn't used to. Why had everyone stopped coming to him? Had he not been strong enough? Had he not been fast enough? He just didn't understand. His giant heart ached with the silence. One sweltering afternoon, feeling more alone than ever, Elmo trudged to the shade of a very old, very wise acacia tree. He sat down with a heavy sigh that stirred the dust around him. As he sat there, lost in his gloomy thoughts, a slow, deliberate movement caught his eye. It was Leo, the ancient tortoise, whose shell was etched with the patterns of 100 rainy seasons. Leo moved with a patience that the rest of the world had forgotten. Leo blinked his old, kind eyes at the giant, sad elephant. "Elmo," he said, his voice a dry, gentle rustle like leaves skittering across the ground. "You have a trunk that can move mountains, and a heart full of sunshine. but you are so busy making thunder that you cannot hear the rain." Elmo looked at the tortoise, confused. "What do you mean, Leo? I only ever want to help." "I know," Leo replied softly, "but helping is not just about doing, it's about hearing. You have to very large ears, Elmo, but you use them to listen for shouts. You need to learn to listen with your heart." Leo paused, letting his words sink in. "Try this," he suggested, "for one whole day. Just sit. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't rush to fix anything. Just be still and listen. Listen to the things that are not said." The idea felt strange to Elmo. To be still, to be quiet, it was the opposite of everything he was. But the loneliness he felt was a powerful motivator. He agreed. The next morning, Elmo found a comfortable spot by the watering hole and did as Leo had advised. He sat and he listened. At first, all he heard was the usual, the chirping of crickets, the buzz of flies, the distant laugh of a hyena. But then, as he quieted his own mind, he started to hear more. He saw a tiny field mouse scurrying near his foot, her whiskers twitching with worry. He stayed perfectly still, and he heard her tiny, squeaky whisper to her friend, "I'm so worried the hawks will see my babies." He felt a pang of understanding. He didn't rush to build her a fortress. He just understood her fear. Later, he watched as a mother bird taught her fledgling to fly. The little bird chirped nervously from the edge of the nest. Elmo didn't shout encouragement. He just watched, and he could almost feel the little bird's heart thumping with a mixture of terror and excitement. When the fledgling finally took a clumsy leap and soared for a few feet before landing safely, Elmo felt a quiet joy for him, a joy that didn't need a trumpet to be expressed. As the day went on, the animals began to notice the change. They saw the giant, boisterous elephant sitting quietly, a look of gentle concentration on his face. Gigi the gazelle approached him cautiously. She didn't say anything, just stood nearby, looking at the place where the log used to be. Elmo didn't speak. He just turned his head and gave her a soft, understanding look. He rumbled, very, very softly. A sound so low was more of a feeling than a noise, a feeling of shared sadness. Gigi's ears relaxed, and she let out a quiet sigh. She finally felt seen. She finally felt heard. Pipsqueak's mother came by next. She saw Elmo and paused. "Elmo," she said hesitantly, "thank you for saving my son. I was just so worried he was scared." Instead of his usual booming reply, Elmo simply nodded his huge head slowly. "I understand," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I will be more gentle next time." The mother warthog's eyes widened in surprise, and then softened with gratitude. Word spread across the savannah like a gentle breeze. Elmo was listening. He was truly listening. The animals started to come to him again, but not just for his strength. They came to him with their worries, their hopes, their small, everyday stories. They would sit with him in the quiet shade, and he would listen, his big ears fanned out, his eyes kind and patient. He learned that sometimes, the best way to help someone wasn't to move a log, but to share a moment of silence. Sometimes, the greatest comfort wasn't a loud declaration, but a quiet, rumbling hum of empathy. The savannah became a happier, more connected place. The air was filled not with Elmo's booming trumpet, but with the gentle hum of friendship and trust. Elmo was still the strongest elephant around, but he had discovered a new kind of strength, a quiet power that was far greater than his powerful trunk or his mighty voice. He learned that the biggest heroes aren't always the loudest. They are the ones who make space for others to be heard. They are the ones who listen with their hearts. And in the quiet moments of connection, Elmo found a joy in a belonging that was deeper and more wonderful than any applause he had ever received. His greatest gift wasn't his ability to fix things, but his newfound ability to simply be there, to care, and to listen. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the heart. See you next time.